Come on in. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween. A spooky, scary night for some teams. As of course, games were played over the last 2 days. I'm Matt Stats, Coast Football. Post your questions. Sorry for the late start. We just things were running. I thought we were going to get actually come on earlier, but about time I tried to get everything situated, final scores, top 10 results. It just ran late. But and then of course the overtime game with Biloxi and West Harrison. Uh, man, wish they were. That's one of the times the disadvantages when I'm here at the headquarters and they don't live stream it, or I guess they do live stream it. You got to pay for it, but for them to be, it was 14-7, I think, at halftime, and went in overtime, and Biloxi wins it in overtime, 42-35 over West Harrison. West Harrison wins. They're in the playoffs for the first time in school history since forming in 2009. Now, of course, people are asking on X, what's the playoff situation? And Brandon Shields is the one who does it statewide. I posted the breakdown on how and who gets in, and I'm still not a clear cut because you have, of course, West Harrison there at now, what are they, 2-3? Biloxi moves to 2-3, and St. Martin is at 2-3. West Harrison moves to 2-4. I stand corrected. Their season is done. They're off. That's their bye week coming up on the last regular season game. So they're 2-4. St. Martin plays host to Osha Springs on senior night. You know, Osha Springs has the number 2 seed, first round home game. I'm sure they'll get plenty of players in their playing time. Now, St. Martin is not necessarily a pushover. But Osha Springs, second seed, D'Iberville did lose to Gulfport tonight in a close game that both live streams went out. I was watching Gulfport live stream. D'Iberville has a live stream on YouTube. And then for some reason, both of them went out, and it was at halftime. Then I end up seeing Gulfport was leading most of the way. Hopefully we'll get HD on here, Hunter Dawkins. But Gulfport never trailed. It was 31-14 at halftime, and then Gulfport ends up winning. I see 38-35. So how close of a game was it? I know the score indicates it's a 3-point game, but I have no idea if it was that close or not, wise to where Gulfport, just nailed it down, or D'Iberville had a chance to go down, drive down there and win the game, go down there and kick a tie-in field goal. I do not know. The live streams were not working, but Gulfport does win their region title, first time since 2019. I just posted all that on Facebook, and we'll be getting updated as far as the amount of region titles. It's their 13th one overall. Congratulations to Coach Pinnock and Gulfport Admirals. They will have that round one, at least a round one, possibly round two home playoff game coming up in 2 weeks. They still got one more week to go, regular season. And so, again, Brandon Shields, I don't know how quickly he won't get it done by the time we get off the air, as far as the breakdown of what is needed between West Harrison, Biloxi, and St. Martin, who, again, West Harrison is 2-4 right now. Biloxi is 2-3. St. Martin is 2-3. Biloxi plays at D'Iberville next week. D'Iberville is going to be the third seed. If Biloxi beat D'Iberville, my own assumption that Biloxi would be the third seed because of heads up that they would just have beaten them. So, and D'Iberville's been waiting for this game for a year. I know the press conference that we had at the beginning, media days that we had beginning of the season, asking several of the D'Iberville players what game you're circling, and Biloxi was able to come back last year with just over a minute, I believe, in the game to beat D'Iberville. So that kind of stung D'Iberville and still stinging the players that have come back. But Biloxi will be at D'Iberville next week. St. Martin will host Osha Springs. Both of those teams, let's say they lose, then 3 teams are going to be at 2 and 4. West Harrison, D'Iberville, West Harrison, St. Martin, and Biloxi. So St. Martin beat Biloxi. Biloxi beat West Harrison. West Harrison beat St. Martin. And so, anyways, so post your thoughts, questions. Let me run over the final scores just in case you have not heard the final scores. Last regular season game for Christian Academy, they did get shut out 54-0. They did go 0-11 this year. First time in 11-man football. 5A Region 4, we did have Stone went up to Northeast Jones, and Stone wins the region title first since 2022, and they won 17-7 at Northeast Jones. They are 4-0 in the region. Let me get my paperwork straight here. The other game, which I lost 2 games tonight after going 16-0 last week, went 14-2 this week, and that was the East Central game with Vancleave. Vancleave having everything to play for, trying to get into the playoffs. But again, it's one of those you always hear throughout the records, River Bowl Championship. That's what it is called. And East Central had won 8 out of the last 9, with Vancleave winning in 2023. Well, East Central, 1-7 this year. They're 0-3 in region. They won tonight, 27-24 at Vancleave. They're both now 1-3 in region play, and I'm not for sure what the tiebreaker situation in that one is there. But a great there. Kyle Capers of Vancleave, 14-yard touchdown run with 1 minute and 18 seconds left to cut it to 27-24. It was 14 each at halftime, but East Central give it to the coaching staff there. Did an excellent job to getting them up. It's again a rivalry game, and that's what I always say, just throw out the records there when it comes to rivalry games. But Coach Huff did a great job as East Central defeats Vancleave in the River Bowl Championship. That is 5A. And 6A Region 3, Terry defeats George County 27-20. George County still should have a shot in for the playoffs. Of course, they're the only team in that odd division, only coast team, because you have at top there West Jones and Hattiesburg. I believe Hattiesburg did win tonight. That was for the region title. And then West Jones, both of them were 3-0, so they moved to 3-1. Terry, like I said, was playing George County. They beat George County 3-1. George County is 1-2, and George County has beaten Hill, Forest Hill, that is. I'm sorry, Hill. They have a Forest Hill and they have a Hill. Hill is now 0-4, and then George County will play Forest Hill next week, and that should be, just looking at it, I don't think Forest Hill won tonight. I'm not sure if they did or not. They played against Hill, so that would be a key decision there. But George County looks, if they win next week at Forest Hill, they will be in the playoffs, as both of them look to be 1-3. I know George County is 1-3. I don't know what Forest Hill did tonight. And they're in 6A, Region 4. That is pretty much set. Just about. Picayune wins their 5th straight region title. The record is 6 by Stone County. They have won, just to make sure I get it right here, their 25th regular season road game. They won at Gaucher tonight, 35-21. They won their 28th region game. The record is 33, so they won't get it this year because they only have one more game left. But Picayune is your region champion there. 6A Region 4 defeats Gaucher 35-21. Gaucher, unfortunately, with that loss, is eliminated from the playoffs. Yes, I mean, they had a great 2-year run. And give it to them tonight. I know listening to Talking Ball on the radio, I mean on the live stream, that Clay Sweet and Slick Rick there, how Gaucher could easily, the last 2 weeks they unfortunately lost at PRC when they were going into the end zone and they fumbled it through the end zone. They practically could have won that game. And then last week with the effort there of Casey Kanaan with Hancock coming back there at the end and winning 28-27, tough losses for the Gators. And give it again to Coach High and his staff to get them up here tonight. They were 21-21 at halftime. They actually led, for part of that game at 21-14, and Picayune, and they just did Mr. Chill there, Dennis, a 95-yard touchdown run, I believe it was. It's on YouTube. Go to Talking Ball on YouTube. You can watch the replay of it. But a great effort there by the Gators. I know it was a loss, but they could have easily, we lost 2 weeks ago the way they did. They lost last week at home to Hancock the way they did by 1 point. And they gave it to all they could to Picayune tonight. But it does appear, again, that they are eliminated from the playoffs. Let me get our guest who's coming in here. That's going to be Mr. Hunter Dawkins after he's done trick-or-treat here. So how you doing, Mr. Hunter Dawkins?
I wish I was trick-or-treating, Matt. It's just traveling around the coast trying to pick up some stuff and getting some gas. And boy, that was a hell of a game with the Gulfport D'Iberville tonight. That came down to the last series. So
yeah, I want, as I'm connecting, I guess the audience they probably did hear me, but I didn't even have my earpods connected. But no wonder why I was sounding different. But yes, I was just running through the scores, and that's what I was mentioning here when I just started, that the live stream went off. I told you, Gulfport live stream, right before halftime, it went off, and then I'll go to D'Iberville live stream on YouTube, and there's a spin, and there's not as playing. It's like, what is happening with D'Iberville? And that's when I text you, and I went to that website, to your radio website, and I could not get the radio on there. So I was like, man, what is happening? So I was watching some score updates. It was 31-14 at halftime, Gulfport. I know Cooper Crosby, scored, at least one rushing, one receiving touchdown there in the first half. His 50th of his career there at Gulfport. That's a great achievement. And then next thing I know, they were leading by 8 points. The next thing 38 28?
35.
I'm talking about
there was
that.
Okay, it was a 38-28 lead, and then
yes,
D'Iberville then got an onside kick, and they marched down the field and scored. And
how much
they
time
almost got
left?
There was about a minute and maybe it might have been 46 seconds left, I think. But they tried the onside kick again. This time, Coach Pinnock brought in Cooper Crosby to make the recovery. And the weird thing about it was both Harold and my play-by-play guy in the G96.7 Super Talk radio station, what we wondered was because they re-kicked it, and I don't think that was. I've never heard of them re-kicking a play after it goes out of bounds, and it didn't go 10 yards, but they re-kicked it again, and of course Gulfport picked it up, but it was a close call. This was the second onside kick attempt, but no, that's one of the things I was confused with, because the first time they kicked it, and I'm not sure what they called, but it didn't go 10 yards, but it went out of bounds, and then they did it over again. And I'm like, that's not what they're supposed to do. But,
Yeah, I don't think they should have. Now, unless, I don't know if they would have an option to kicking team. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you reached out to Coach Pinnock to see if he wants to come on.
I can guarantee you, and I mean, I'm not so sure, but I would say on a 99% percentage that Coach Pinnock would not want him to kick that ball over again. But that's just me.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to. Yeah, you don't want him to kick it
Yeah.
over. True. You would take the penalty.
Exactly.
So that's what. But yeah, I was going to reach out to him if or unless you wanted to. I was just going to see if he wanted to.
Well, I got to wait till they get back. They're probably back from D'Iberville right now, but I'll text him and see if he wants to be.
All right, so I won't text him in. I was trying to see what other coach possibly that we can get on.
Well,
I don't know if Biloxi coach.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about him, but I know. I don't know if y'all have had Coach Stockstill on. They had obviously a big time win last night against Bay, going into the being undefeated in the region, and they'll take on South Pike next week. But that's up to you.
Let me see. I mean, we've had it on last week. I know, like I said, he won. Several games were played last night. And then he had that. Of course, I was at Gulf Coast, or not at Gulf. I was calling Gulf Coast at Hines when I was getting your updates on Poplarville throwing that shutout. So, so how much? So you said there was how much time left whenever they kicked that onside kick? It was 38-35. That was the final, 38-35, Gulfport winning.
Yeah,
but how much time was left?
46 seconds left. But
okay.
If D'Iberville had gotten it, there's, the Wally kid that was the quarterback for D'Iberville. He pretty much, could not be stopped most of the night later on. So.
Okay, I'll just text him to see about getting
the Biloxi coach on. Yeah, I don't. But then again, Matt, I will tell you, Biloxi's got a long way to go because they have to beat. They can essentially clinch. Yeah, if they beat D'Iberville, they can clinch the third spot. But if they don't beat D'Iberville, it comes down to a point thing, and I think more often than not, it goes in West Harrison's favor. Am I wrong?
Well, I don't. Well, see, I'll speak. I was telling when I first come on because West Harrison's season is over. As far as a regular season is over because their bye week. Their bye week is there, so they are 2-4. 2-4.
Correct.
And so right now, St. Martin is 2-3. They host Osha Springs for senior night. So if St. Martin could win, they'll be, if not, they'll be 2-4. Biloxi goes to D'Iberville. Of course, they're 2-3, Biloxi, and of course, if they win, they'll be 3-3. And yes, you would think that's what I posted last week. They would get the number 3 seed. There'll still be a road game. 3rd, 4th seeds get a road game. But if Biloxi loses to D'Iberville, then they would be 2-4. So now you got 3 teams at 2-4. And I posted again last week the tiebreaker system, and I would think it goes against the points scored against the top team. I don't know. To tell you the truth, I don't know exactly.
But I think that West Harrison beat St. Martin. I don't know what the score was, but they lost to Biloxi by only a touchdown. So either way, I'm not so certain if Biloxi and St. Martin lose next week. I'm not so sure if that tie break wouldn't go to West Harrison because of the point differential.
Because West Harrison beat St. Martin 26-21.
Yes.
St. Martin beat Biloxi 28-24. And then now in overtime, Biloxi beats West Harrison 42-35, which is, that they beat them. If that's what they go, I mean, I don't know. I know again, Brandon, he does it for the whole state, and he's an expert at it. And I try to be an expert at it and figure it out. but I don't know. So it's we know that if Biloxi beats Diablo next week, that's somewhat
That's it.
cut and
Yeah.
dry because they'll have 3 wins, and West Harrison, you know, is sitting there like
But
I say at 2 wins,
what
and St. Martin.
what I saw from both of those teams and how they played Biloxi and in D'Iberville, I think it's going to be very hard for Biloxi to get get that win. That's just
Oh, I agree. I
my
agree.
opinion. Same thing with St. Martin. As I've
Yes.
seen Ocean Springs play and St. Martin, I'm pretty certain it's going to be very hard for Ocean Springs. So at least one of the things guaranteed about all the district matchup or all the that Region 4-7A, Gulfport is absolutely the top seed. But that's all
Yes.
you can
They
say about
will.
it from
Yes.
there.
Yes, and I would say they would, as long as they win, they would host a playoff game each round. But I think and it does rotate from, I say north, meaning Region 3, and this goes for all the regions. The be it if they have 8, 7, and 8 region, or Region 3, Region 4. I believe last
Yeah,
year it was the South that the number one seed uh, hosted all. As long as you played, you hosted the game, and that's what. And I somewhat go by that because I mean that I know that because Picayune did that when they won their championship, and I can go back and look and see in 20 uh, in 20 I think it was 22. I'm looking now where they had the perfect season where they had
yeah,
15-0, and they
yeah,
hosted every round they hosted at home every playoff round. So that tells me there, then the Region 4 hosted in 2022. So that tells me there it's the even years that the South Region 4 host, and so this is not an even year. So, anyways, that's what
yeah.
I'm getting back to. That Gulfport will host around 1 game. Could they host around 2 game? Yes. So, I mean, I know we're
Yes.
getting kind of ahead of ourselves. They do have one more game next week. Everybody does, except for, like a West Harrison who has a
There's
bye
yeah,
next week. Doesn't. But the other games that I was finishing up, moving up the line again, we just mentioned Biloxi. Ocean Springs shuts out Harrison Central 35-0. Gulfport, you just mentioned, wins 38-35 to win their 13th overall region record, and that puts them in a tie with Poplarville with 13, and behind Moss Point and Picayune. And Picayune did win their region tonight. That's their 18th overall, and that ties them with Moss Point for coast most regions on the coast. And then D'Iberville is there at 15, and Poplarville and Gulfport at 13 each. Stone is perfect in their region. They won tonight 17-7 at Northeast. Was it Northeast Jones? If I'm saying all right, not Northwest Jones, but
so
Northeast
did
Jones.
Stone clinch their region?
Yes, they did. They have one more game next week, and here we go. We bring on a coach there. There's Biloxi High Coach DuBose. Welcome to the show, Coach. How you feeling after that great overtime win?
Well, man, it was exciting. I'm proud for our kids. They battled, and we put them in a tough schedule all year, and it paid off tonight. We found a way to win, and we didn't hurt ourselves, but we played a really good West Harrison team. Man, they're really really good, and but I'm really proud of our kids and our coaches. They played well tonight and coached hard.
Yes, yes. I watch a show, on a weekly basis, and know you guys had a lot of injuries there, as teams tend to do. But I mean, to overcome it and to keep that positive to where after that break, after you lost to St. Martin, then you took that off week, and you coming back and you put, I believe the guy who scored the player that scored the game winning touchdown, is it Lau? Is how you say his last name? He's a defensive guy, but yet he plays offense too. So I mean, that's just great coaching ability to put your best players in position to win the games.
Yeah, our guys, we just went out there tonight and wanted to find a way to win. We didn't care how, we just knew that, we still got a chance to get in the playoffs. We needed to get a win. We felt like with this win tonight, and they had been talking about a certain amount of points you had to win by and all that we needed to accomplish. And man, our guys just found a way to do it. The crazy thing is, they were telling me we needed to win by 7 points, and I got worried. Would they let us finish the game if we scored second and kicked the extra point? They said we had to, and then if he would have kicked the field goal on 4th down, believe it or not, I was going to try to kick a field goal to make us go to a second overtime, no matter what we did, because we had to try to win by 7, and I was told. But we still got to get some. We still got to get some help from Ocean Springs on St. Martin. They got a big game next week, and if St. Martin wins, they're in. But we did what we had to do tonight, and that's what I was proud about our players about. Is we told them what we needed to do, and they went and accomplished it. But we had some big nights by some guys tonight. Broderick Andrews went in tonight and had a big touchdown run for us, about 60, 70 yards. And we had some big plays tonight. Our quarterback made some big throws. We were able to run the ball and do some things. And then, man, I tell you what, 3 and 45 for them are two good, really backs. And if you would have told me we had to keep them out of the end zone on 4 downs in overtime, I would have said I didn't like our odds. But, boy, our players played really well, and our defensive coaches had a good plan for it.
Is that what, as far as the overtime, because I didn't watch a live stream or couldn't watch it, who won the coin toss, and did you win it? Did you decide to go on offense?
Yes, I won the coin toss and took it second because I had talked to the official beforehand and said, hey, if we were to take the ball second and they didn't score and we scored, is the game going to end with just that 6 points, or will we get a chance to kick the extra points? And they said that in district play, you have to play everything out because of the points. So I knew I was going to have the opportunity to kick it. So I just took it second in that way. If he would have said no, I would have took the ball first to be able to kick the extra point to be able to go up by 7.
Yeah, because yes, you normally want to go second to see what you need, but that's great, to find out that information, if you can kick it, and that's good that they do that, because yes, most of the time it's a walk-off, touchdown and no extra point is needed, but in this case, you certainly needed it, and now you go to D'Iberville, and of course D'Iberville, some of the players at least that were there last year remember, and I was watching that game when you guys came back with just over a minute left to go in the game to get that win. Now you go to D'Iberville, who just lost tonight to Gulfport. So how do you feel, and how healthy is your team heading into this game coming up next week?
Well, our bye week came late. We were able to get a few guys healthy. We've been able to get a few more healthy. We had a couple tonight banged up pretty bad. We had an O-lineman banged up and a DB that we got to get to therapy tomorrow. So I don't know where they're going to be sitting at, but we're getting closer and closer to healthy. And again, I'm gonna reiterate, man, our schedule was brutal at the beginning, and we had a couple of close games we lost. But I think that schedule, I hope, has helped us now to get to where we're at. I hope it's going to help us. We're going to need it next week. D'Iberville is an excellent football team. They got a really good defense, and offensively they got a lot of firepower. So, I don't know yet. We've not looked at D'Iberville. We're taking it 1 week at a time. We're going to enjoy this one till tomorrow morning at 8:00. The coaches are, and we're going to come in and get to work on D'Iberville in the morning. But I know they got a really good team, and they've had a great year this year, and we'll worry about it tomorrow morning. I can't give you a whole lot of info on them right now. I just know that they've had a really good year, and they've got some really good players. And we were fortunate last year, but we're going to have to come with a really good game next Thursday night. And we're happy to have the chance to better ourselves. And, to hopefully, I do know that if we can win the game, I think we would get the 3rd seed if we win the game. So, there's something to play for. There's something to play for. And I found out just being here 1 year, it's a rivalry game. And our kids get excited for that game, and they really like playing them, but I know they like playing us too. So it's going to be a great game. Winning tonight made that game mean a little something and mean a little bit more next Thursday night. So, I'm glad we got this opportunity, and we'll see where we can do.
Yes. Hunter, you have anything for Coach DeBose?
Well, Coach, the main thing is I was at the Gulfport D'Iberville game tonight, calling on the radio. You definitely have to be able to work on containing Wally, because he's definitely all over the field. He's an explosive player. and assume he's a lot like I did see it earlier, West Harrison Stapleton. So I'm sure how y'all played against Stapleton. That's got to be something that you got to work on with Wally too as well. But defensively, I remember seeing you guys play. It was that's something that, like you said, Coach, you guys have stepped up on lately. Is that something that y'all have been mainly working on, or is it just a sort of the players have started picking things up?
Well, I think they're picking it up, but the biggest thing is we've got some youth on defense. Defensively, we're very, very young. We're going to return, well, basically, we're going to return 6 on defense and 6 on offense next year. So we got a lot of guys coming back next year. So we're playing a lot of first timers on offense. Our whole receiving core is brand new from a year ago. We lost everybody. So, the biggest thing I can say is we have been very close this year. We have found a way to hurt ourselves with penalties or the St. Martin's game. We had 4 starters out on defense that were injured. That was a week before the bye game. Not to make excuses. St. Martin's had a great game plan and they won the game and they did what they were supposed to. But I think our guys, with getting a little healthy, we let a little bit of the noise get in our head during the year that we wasn't doing well, and I think it got mental with some of our guys. But I think our defensive staff has really simplified it. They've really put our guys in position to make plays, and I think our guys have just grown up. And they're really accepting their role, and we're finding some depth. I think that's a big thing too. We've got I know we've got 3 sophomores now that are playing a lot extensively on defense that were not even playing game 1 through 4. So I think all that added in is what's helping us best on the defensive side.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, Coach DuBose. Like I say, congratulations on the win tonight. And it certainly looks like you're on the way to another postseason here in your second season with Biloxi. So appreciate you joining us, and maybe get you on here in next week or the week after, head into the playoffs to see how it falls out.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for giving us a chance and thinking about Biloxi tonight. Go Big Red.
There you go. Thank you, Coach. All right, Hunter, we're going to bring on another coach here that just won the region tonight, and that is Coach Pennock with Gulfport. How you doing, Coach Pennock, region champion? You are.
What's up, fellas? How you doing? Yeah, it was you skipped a couple of heartbeats a little bit towards the end, but was glad to get the win, and it was a hard fought game. We needed something like that after we played kind of several games in a row. It's been decided, but man, just excited for the Gulfport, city of Gulfport, and the Admirals, and the whole deal.
Yeah, it's the Gulfport's 13th overall region title. Of course, it ties with Poplarville, and then Moss Point leads everybody. Well, Picayune tied them tonight, but 18 overall there. But again, your 13th region title. I was watching the live stream. For some reason it went out, and saw Cooper Crosby, and they said that was his 50th career total touchdown. So I mean, they didn't know if it was a record or not, but still to have 50 touchdowns total for Cooper Crosby. He did did he have more than just the 2? Because I lost.
Yeah, I think he had 4. He had 4 touchdowns.
He had 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
And
two runs, and I guess he should have had a touchdown pass if we don't get caught inside the 1 centimeter line.
That's right.
Man, but yeah, you guys come out rocking there. Again, watching the live stream until it wasn't. But Hunter was there, of course, calling the radar and asking him, because I saw the score where it was 38-35, and he was telling me about the onside kick, and he said it went out of bounds, and yet they were able to kick it again. Why was that?
Nah, I mean it wasn't. They weren't able to kick it again. They said that they got it somehow or another, and the thing went out of bounds and all that. I'm gonna just hold my tongue a little bit on it. Okay. It got kind of wiry there on the third, and it wasn't just that play, but in the third quarter, I'm glad we won the game. Yeah. Hunter was there. I'll let him be the commentary on it. It was ridiculous at some points, but
it was not a very good. I'm not criticizing the officials, but there was a few things that were awkward. Let's just say left foot, making the judgment on the left foot side. So,
All right. Well, speaking about the officials, and again, nothing about the officials. I don't know if I heard it or if it's true or not. Do the coaches yourself, do you guys actually grade the officials after each game? Is that something that they do, or you don't?
Yeah, we do. If we see anything, we can kind of send it in, but normally we don't. There is a head crew, or the head official basically for our region. Troy Socher kind of does that. But it's just one of those things, But we mostly have guys that do a really good job, and I think they just didn't want to kind of get too far into it in a game that big, but it was just one of those things. Like I said, it's credit goes to D'Iberville, man. They showed a ton of fight there at the end, kind of in the second half. Obviously the game kind of got away. I thought we didn't play super clean on offense in the second half. You're in that in between of trying to limit possessions and different things, and obviously they're huge up front. They do a great job at the second level, and their linebackers and such, and they did a good job kind of hemming us up a little bit in the run game on some of our favorite run plays, and made some huge plays. But anyway, obviously, Wally, man, like God bless, he is unbelievable. We worked that over and over again, the scramble drill, and did a great job of it in the first half. We knew he was going to get some, but in the second half, I mean, just we've covered everything. We've gotten back to him. We've got two people back to him, and somehow or another, he pops off a 50-yard run. I mean, he is unreal.
Yeah, I saw that again the first half when he scrambled and took off down there. I think that was the first score of the game.
Man, I felt like we were watching recess. I mean, God bless.
And I don't want to say Hunter kind of jinxed the Admirals, because last week he told me, we were on the podcast saying during this winning streak, Gulfport hasn't turned the ball over. And then again, watching the first half, Crosby fumbled the ball. I didn't even see it, but I heard it. He fumbled the ball. They said that was his first mania of the year. So that's still unbelievable run.
Well, I think thanks, Hunter. Appreciate that, man.
Even
was that the only turnover tonight?
Even that call right there, Coach, was a little bit questionable. I was like,
we thought he was down. We thought he was down, but at the end of the day, like we tell our guys all the time, don't put it in their hands. You know what I mean? And so, that's our first turnover since our second game of the year. We've done that's really the first ball we put on the ground since then. But it's one of those deals that I would rather have it now and it not bite us, and it don't bite us, instead of not going into the playoffs and having that. So we got that monkey off the back. It gives us an opportunity to take this next week and really work on it, because we actually put 3 balls on the ground, but we only lost the one of them, and so that was really uncharacteristic of us. So that'll give us something to really work on this next week.
Well, like I say, you'll be at home at least for the next few weeks, because you host Harrison Central in the Battle of 49. Next week, of course, Harrison Central not having the season that they're wanting. They got shut out tonight against Osha Springs. So I'm sure you're going to play your starters. I mean, as you would, but I don't know if they're going to, you don't have to say how long they're going to play, but you would think you would get some underclassmen in there, because win or lose, you don't want to lose. No, but win or lose.
Yeah, no, I mean, with the region side, seeding's kind of already stated. I mean, we're going to play our guys, and we want to keep them in rhythm. And all that, and then just hopefully how the game dictates it.
Yeah, what happened to him?
He must have had some kind of
stream. See, that's what happened at the game. The stream went out at the game. Of course, he's in his office.
Yeah,
and he was fixing it. We'll see if he can come back on.
Yeah, no, there was a.
Let me see if he can come back on. Oh, here he is. There he is. I know you were getting to the important part of it, but
there we go. You got me?
Yes, yeah. So
can you hear me?
I'm just curious. Yes, I hear you, Coach. I hear you.
I can't hear you.
I can hear you.
Oh, I can't hear you guys. I can't hear you guys.
Huh. Hunter, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I can hear Blake too. So
yeah, I don't know.
I can't hear you guys. I'm sorry.
Okay. It's all right. You got it on
I
mute?
don't know.
I mean, you tell me.
You must have it on. Yeah, I don't have him on mute, but
yeah, I don't have him on mute either. So
Wow.
unless he goes off and comes back on. But we'll see if he does that. But he was, like I say, uh, we'll see if Coach Bennett. But I mean, yeah, the third season there, he won the region title. Now he has a home playoff game. And in fact, like I say, this week coming up, we Harrison Central, and then he'll host the following week. And I don't know exactly who that will be.
The bit that's the big question right now. Now, of course, we're not want to get that far in advance talking about Region 3, but that is quite a messed up district. As you know, I not only heard that from Super Talk Live scoreboard. You've got. I'll see if I can actually find.
Well, I'm
There,
looking at their
go ahead.
standings. You got, the 6 teams in their region, and 4 of them are 2-1. And
Yes,
Meridian's 0-3, and Brandon's 1-2. So you got
yeah.
Northwest Rankin, Oak Grove, Pearl
Brandon
River,
won
Petal.
tonight. Brandon won.
Oh,
They play Pearl, and so they are now. You got those two that are 2-2. Brandon beat Pearl 17-10, I believe, and that's of course without their head coach who resigned,
yeah.
It's Pogue. But that also goes to show you how much that they didn't necessarily like it that much. But yes, they won over Pearl, and now all they have to do is play as Meridian, and so Brandon could potentially be the 2 or the 3 seed. Petal, as I told you before, who beat Gulfport earlier on in the season, Petal,
What they do?
they beat Meridian tonight, but Petal still has to play Northwest Rankin, and if they beat Northwest Rankin next week, they should easily win their region. But then Northwest Rankin lost to Oak Grove on a last-second field goal. So that's another 2-2 group. Find out who's gonna. In my mind, based on the schedule, I would think that. Let me see if I can see. I don't really. It's Gulfport is probably going to end up either playing Brandon or Northwest Rankin, but Northwest Rankin has the tougher draw where they have to play. They lost to Oak Grove tonight, and they have to play against Petal, which doesn't look like they're going to make that, and so. It looks like to me it'd be Petal, then Oak Grove, then either Northwest Rankin or Brandon, one of the two. And that's, because Pearl looks like the odd team out.
Yeah, and of course, for the fans who don't know it, that again, Gulfport is the number 1 seed, Ocean Springs is the 2nd seed, and both of them will host a first round playoff game in 2 weeks. And then the 3rd seed, which right now is the Iberville, and what other team will be in there, for whatever the 4th team is, whoever Biloxi, West Harris, or St. Martin, 3rd and 4th seeds in all the regions will go on the road. So, and play the 1 and 2 seed from the top half.
Matt, pretty much what you can see is that at the top of that region, it will be either Petal or Oak Grove, and Petal has the tiebreaker. So it's more than likely, like I said earlier on in the year, Petal is probably going to, and I'll say it now, Petal is probably going to win the region because they have the most wins tied with Oak Grove. But you never know with what's going to happen. However, Brandon kind of changes a little bit of scenario with that win over Northwest Rankin, so that between Brandon, Pearl, and Northwest Rankin, they all have 2-2 pretty much per se, and we'll see what happens after that. So.
Yeah, like I say, Brandon Shields is the one who does that. He did the 1 through 4A, and I shared that, I believe, on Tuesday, the playoff scenario, what Poplarville had to do and what, Pascagoula.
Yes.
And I don't know, did we find out who Pascagoula? Of course, they played last night.
They're playing South Pike. They're going to
They're
play.
going to play South Pike. Okay, that's good then. I mean, that's good as far as that we know that.
South, yes, that is true because South Pike lost to Macomb 6-0 last night. So, and they finished fourth in their region. So,
Yeah, they haven't updated the standings up here, but yeah, South Pike would be 1-3 then, and 3-6. They lost to
that's
Macomb,
correct.
so that's who Poplarville. And what about? And I heard, I'm sorry, Poplarville is going to play Forest County.
That's correct because Forest County finished second by beating Greene County 20-14 or something like that. I believe that was the score.
Yes, and Moss Point should be playing.
They'll be playing Columbia. Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, there goes Anthony. So they played tonight.
Greene County. Okay, well, the score on scoreboard said 6-0, but yeah, that's
But anyway, they did lose. Macomb did
lost.
win.
Yeah, that's the important thing. They lost, so But
so that's who they'll play for, and that is Pass Christian with a great win.
Yes.
Last night. So they'll be
their
prepared.
third shutout of the year, and that was the first one. First time they have had 3 shutouts since 1991. So.
Oh, very nice, taking over my job there, Hunter Statman Dalton.
I'm trying to be upkeep on that just because I had some people asking a bunch of questions. How many times has Pass Christian won 9 games? And I said 5.
Yeah, I just looked. Yeah, I looked at it. Oh, I usually go with the last time. The 10th win. I mean, they've never won 10 games.
They have only won. Yes, they have, but not since the classification. They won 10 games in 1975 when they played in the.
Yes, I see that.
They played in the what I'm trying to think of the call. What it was, they played in the Pearl River Conference, but it was they played
River.
The Pascagoula River Conference, and they played they lost a game to get Stone. I think it was called the shrimp. It wasn't the Shrimp Bowl, but it was some kind of bowl game, like maybe the Rock Bowl or something like that.
Yes.
And,
who was their head coach?
Back then, it was Bob Rogers.
Man, you know that's pretty good because you just looked it up, Hunter.
Well, the funny thing you say about that now, the guy that was after Bob Rogers in 1977 or 8 was Bob. I don't know him, but Bob Rogers, I actually know his family very well. His nephew and I are very good friends, and we play golf together. So I do know Bob Rogers pretty well. So yes, sir. So that's just a little bit of connection, of course, being a little Pass Christian.
Yeah, but since the 81 this format is played, they have not won 10 games. So, but yes, they did win 10 games in that year. In fact, they had they were 9-1-1, then 10-1. So I mean, 1974, 75.
Under old Coach Joe Brown, he was a good man. I remember old Coach Brown growing up, going to some ball games. That was the last time in 1991 that they had pitched 3 shutouts. So, actually, that year they had 4, to be honest with you, but that was the last time they had at least up to 3 shutouts.
So now they're at home in next week. Next week it starts for 4A down to 1A.
That is correct.
In the playoffs. I don't know why I'm hearing. I might have to disconnect my Bluetooth if that's
Thursday. Yeah, I'll have to. I have an all weekend schedule. I have the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we'll make it happen. So.
Yeah, it's. I was trying to see why if I was hearing that noise. I don't know if the fans could tell me that or not, but anyways, yes, it's next Friday is the playoffs. with the 7A and the 5A through 7A play next Thursday, so they flip it this week, next week. So, in the again in the top 10 tonight, you had Gulfport, who was ranked number 1, they won. Ocean Springs, number 2, they won. Picayune, number 3, they won. D'Iberville lost to top rank, they were 4th. Pass Christian won. Poplarville lost on Thursday. They were 6th ranked. Pascagoula, 7th ranked. They won at Hancock. West Harrison lost in overtime to Biloxi. 9th ranked. Stone won on the road at Northwest Jones. St. Martin was idle at 10th ranked. So we'll see who's going to move up or down, because somebody's going to move. D'Iberville, I don't know. If I'm one of the voters.
I'm telling you what, though. I mean, D'Iberville, they don't deserve to go down that far, because
correct.
Great game they played against Ocean.
Yes, if they got beat 35-0, it does. Yes, it does affect it. But I don't know in my voting, just because if I put them a certain spot doesn't mean it's an average, of course, and then the strength of schedule. But Pass Christian, at least in our poll, they're not ranked number 1. They're a great team, and I know you talked to Coach about that ranking that somebody has somewhere that has Pass Christian number 1. I don't know.
Have that idea. I mean, it's great that those kids are playing as well as they are, but
oh yeah.
I mean, I cover the games for a living, as you know, Matt.
Yeah.
I've seen Pass Christian play and I've seen Gulfport play, and it's just not on the same radar. But that's why there's classifications difference.
Yes, that's why they. Can you hear me? See, stop making that noise. So I know, but it's still making that noise on it. But let me see if it gets better. I don't know. But anyways, that's when we do our rankings. Yes, I've done flashbacks and had St. Stanislaus was ranked number 1. They were winning, the games. You were there coaching. They were ranked number 1. So to have, I think there were 4A back then. So and you can't have a 4A team ranked number 1. We did. I mean, yeah. So it's kind of, can they beat a Gulfport team? That one year, I believe they did back in the day. But it's hard to rank teams, when they're not playing each other for one. Then so it's go by strength of schedule and how they beat teams. That's just the way it goes. We try to play it, have the fairest schedule there. And I know Dawn, who played last night, she was there. She's cutting out her fat head for her son. That's great to see. She's ready for that playoff game. Oh, Dawn, appreciate you. And what you said, they are ranked that way in the ring because it goes by school record. Pass has the best record, and that's why. Okay, we don't go by the best record, unfortunately.
Well, Dawn, and I want to congratulate Miss Dawn too again for her son being Scholar Athlete of the Week. WLOX, and Drake is a great center, and he's done a great job, and he's got a full scholarship to Mississippi State, and I want to congratulate him for that.
Man, that is nice. That is, like I said, I saw her. I share her post along with other parents or uncles or grandparents, and they show. I know Tubbs from I believe Gaucher. I share his post. So hey, I say shine the light. You have your player. I say your player because it may not be your kid or it may be your grandkid, but I share that type of information most certainly. And like I say, she was making those fat heads. That was pretty neat. That she's ready. She's ready for the playoffs. Yes, and again, Coach Stockstill say, hey, we're going to get them ready. Don't because he's proven coach championship back-to-back state champions at Scott Central. So again, they will host South Pike next Friday. Next Friday is the playoff game there for, again, 4A down to 1A, and that includes St. Patrick will be in the playoffs. I don't know exactly who they play. Moss Point, will be playing too.
We're right here right now. See if I can do that for St. Patrick. Do you have any Now, of course, I didn't, I wasn't on earlier, but I was kind of wondering what's the 6A scenario. I know Picayune has got that district or that region, sorry, but who's second, third, and fourth from what
Yeah,
you've.
Pascagoula beat Hancock, and they shut them out. I
So
mean,
they solidified the second spot?
yes, Pascagoula did get the second spot. They're 3-1. Picayune's 4-0. They still have one more game to play. These teams got one more. PRC's at Picayune, Gaucher's at Pascagoula in that rivalry game, and Hancock's at Long Beach. But Picayune at 4-0 has won the region. You have Pascagoula, who's 3-1. They just beat Hancock, who's now 2-2. So they have the tiebreaker over them. And then again, Hancock will travel to Long Beach, who unfortunately is, they're 1-7 or 1-8 and 0-4. So it appears to be Picayune, Pascagoula will get a first round home playoff game. And then it looks like Gaucher in all effects is out of it because, they're 1-3 now. They lost a close game or semi-close. They had to lead at one point, 21-14 against Picayune.
That would be a huge upset.
And give it to, like I said, to the Gaucher Gators there. I say lay down. They could, after that tough defeat, at PRC when they were going in the score, and then they lost last week against Hancock, 20, by that 1 point, 28-27. They could have easily, but they actually had a 21-14 lead against Picayune until Picayune, 35-21 was the final there in Gaucher at the Swamp. So now they'll go against Pascagoula. Of course, Gaucher not in the playoffs, but they can go out against a rivalry with Pascagoula. So that's looks like that's what it's going to be. Hunter is Picayune, Pascagoula 1-2, and then it appears to be Hancock because they beat PRC.
Oh wow!
Now they beat PRC that weeks ago, and again, it'd be Hancock and PRC should be 3-4. So again.
Yeah.
Both of them are going to go on the road. PRC, a nice win tonight.
Yeah.
Which, I did lose 2 games tonight in my predictions after I went perfect last week. But Coach Feaster there with PRC did get the win. I'm trying to get my.
It's official now, Matt. St. Patrick is going to play at Franklin County next Friday at 7:00. I'll try to see if Coach Nate wants to talk about that at all, but I'm sure he's probably asleep and all the rest of them because they didn't have to play. St. Patrick was off this week.
Sure, it's 10 to midnight. All the trick-or-treaters are in. But Coach Feaster was getting the final was 49-21 over Long Beach tonight for PRC. So. I don't look and I haven't looked to see third and fourth seed who's in 1 and 2 seed in the other classification, Region 3.
What about the 5A so far? Do we know where they stand? We know Stone's number 1. Do we know anything after that?
Let me see. Stone, of course, they did get the win tonight. Who's behind Stone? We have. You had Purvis and you had Wayne County at 2-1. Van Cleve was right there looking to be in the playoffs, and they still probably can, but they lost to East Central tonight.
East Central, yeah.
So, but Stone beat Northeast Jones, so they're 1-3. East Central's 1-3. Van Cleve's 1-3. I don't know what Wayne County and Purvis. I don't know. You get a Wayne County Purvis score. I think Wayne County won, but I'd have to try to confirm that.
Sure.
So what was that? If you missed it, well, what's a 7A? I know Gulfport won the region, but where does everybody else end up? Ocean Springs is second ranked, and then if Biloxi won tonight against West Harrison, if Biloxi wins at D'Iberville next week, Biloxi, you would think they have the same record as D'Iberville. They would beat them next week, or if they beat them, they would be 3 seed. D'Iberville will be 4th seed. If D'Iberville wins, which if I had to predict the score tonight or predict the winner, I would lean toward the Iberville winning at home against Biloxi. But hey, Biloxi's fired up and confident and beating a very good West Harrison team. But if Diablo wins, Diablo will be third seed, then that would put Biloxi, St. Martin, West Harrison, all at 2 and 4.
Then it all comes down to a point scenario.
As Coach Dubose has said that, he needed to win by 7, and they went in overtime, and he was able to kick that extra point to win by 7, 42-35. So if it's by point total, which that's what he's being told, then you would think that if all 3 of them lose, Ocean Springs is playing at St. Martin. So St. Martin loses against Ocean Springs, and then Biloxi loses to Diablo. West Harrison is done. They're already at 2 and 4. So you would think that Biloxi would be in there.
After that being the 4th seed, you would think by the scores indicative of that. Yeah, you would think so. So
again, Brandon Shields will have Mountain. I will certainly pass them along the tiebreakers. Again, I try to figure it out after all these years, and it still gets to where a little bit mix up crazy there. But as far as with Stone Division, Hunter, I don't. Again, did you find a Wayne because that would be the 2nd seed?
Let me see. I'll look that up really quick.
Between Wayne County and Purvis, they were both 2 and 1, and I believe they. They played tonight. So, the winner of that game would be the 2nd seed. Stone's the 1st seed, and then again you have that 3-way tie with East Central, Northeast Jones, and Van Cleve, all at 1 and 3, and Purvis should be in. So it's 3 teams for 1 spot.
Yeah.
And who did they play the last week? Van Cleve plays Purvis. East Central plays Stone. So,
okay, I'll give you an update score. Just we'll go down the games that are going to affect us.
Here we go. We have a Wayne. See, who is that? Anthony Schultz. So we have a Wayne County 27-17, and give it to Wayne County after their worst start ever in school history at 0-6. They have come back to win 3 out the last 4 games, or 3 in a row. They beat Van Cleve at East Central, and then tonight, they win at Purvis. So Wayne County is the 2nd seed. Stone's the 1st seed. Wayne County is the 2nd seed, and Purvis will be the 3rd seed, because even if Purvis wins next week and Wayne County loses, the head-to-head, who Wayne County just beat them, so they would get the 2nd seed. So it'll be Purvis. So again, East Central, Northeast Jones, and Van Cleve are vying for 1 spot, and East Central will play at Stone, and Northeast Jones will be playing at Wayne County, and Van Cleve will be at Purvis. And then again, that may be a different point differential if all of them win or lose.
The Van Cleve game, that could be big, because if Van Cleve ends up winning, they'll notch up the 4th spot. Would that be right?
I don't think, because if East Central wins, they just beat Van Cleve.
Okay, yeah, but
so they would be
probably going to beat Stone, though, right?
Well, anything could happen.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The chances are not great, especially Stone playing at home. But at Perk, and like I say, speaking of Perk and Gulf Coast, we won. They won last night. We were there in the stands calling it against Hines. So they play. Yes. Thank to Coach Wright. Again, they had a share of the South Division title, which I already threw my 2 cents in every week when I say that, because they tied with Colin.
Was that the 7th overall, or 7th or 8th or so in the last?
Because he's been there, I think 7th.
Okay.
Because he's in his 8th year, and he didn't do it 1 year, so he's done it 7 out of 8 years. A share or an outright win. Now, again, a share is having the same record, but you would think the team that beats, if there's 2 teams tied, whoever won heads up would get the win, but that's not how it plays. So Colin beat Gulf Coast, but yet they're going to share the South Conference. Now, what does that mean? Number one seed is if you win the number one seed, you get a home playoff game. But Gulf Coast, of course, lost to Colin. Now they will play at East Mississippi next Saturday at 3:00.
And
And
East
then
Mississippi, they
East Mississippi.
won the Northern Division, right?
They did win the Northern, and Gulf Coast beat East Mississippi in game 1, but that was
That's
so
what I
long
thought.
ago.
I remember that a long time ago. Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, I said a long time. It was week 1, August, when high school started.
East Mississippi Community College, they recruit pretty heavily down here too, on the coast. So they have they have several players at East Mississippi who are from not only past Christian, but from other schools down on the coast. So yeah.
Yes, they are, and then they'll play Saturday at 3, and then the following week will be for the state championship.
So all the games from now on are on Saturdays, not on Thursdays, right?
Yes, and I say that with hesitation because last night when we were leaving the game, I was told and heard that we might play it on Thursday, and I said, "What?" That they said they just voted that in, even though Gulf Coast voted not to allow it to be on a Thursday. And I said, "Well, why would they play it on a Thursday?" And I was told because of recruiting purposes. I was told that these JUCO players go visit colleges on Saturday. Right. And so, but I said, well, if it's on Thursday, I can't make it this Thursday because I didn't put off time because it's always been on Saturdays. And so, yes, it came out today official. It is on Saturday at 3 p.m. And then the Colin will host Northwest, and Gulf Coast, if they win, of course, will play the winner of Northwest and Colin, and hopefully it will be Colin so we can go back there, Gulf Coast, and take revenge after that loss earlier a couple weeks ago in the season where Colin beat Gulf Coast. But a lot of great players again on the Gulf Coast Bulldogs team, from the coast. Awesomer there again, leading sack master of Gulf Coast, and Breland and from Stone, and we were talking about, I know we talked about on the podcast, which everybody needs to tune in. You can check the timeline. I have it on there. Comes out on Monday/Tuesday, the HD Experience by Hunter that has several guests on there besides myself. But we had talked about it, Hunter, about the scholarships for the state. They're limited. They're now at 15. You can have 15 out-of-state scholarships you can bring on your team.
Wow, that was going to say, because I remember the legislature when they passed the law that said you can only have a certain number. I didn't know the exact number, but it's 15 moved up now.
It was, I think, maybe 8 at one time, and 10,
it was
and
8.
15.
That's right, it was 8. I remember when they first started it off. So,
well, we got a punter, Selms. He's from Australia. So,
as most of the punters are nowadays. Yeah. Exactly.
And his punt last night was a key fact. He punted it, and the way it came, I said, man, look at that. It is coming off kind of funky looking, and it hit the guy in the shoulder pad. In fact, if you watch the Bulldog Blitz, you can see it. It hit his shoulder pads, and Gulf Coast recovered a fumble. But what you had asked weeks ago, as far as it is man, that's what they voted on. The state of Mississippi, as far as the MAC conference, to limit to 15, where these other states, there is no limit on how many, so you can get your whole roster. And that's why, again, I go back to Last Chance U when I watched it, the last couple of years. It was I forget the name of the place up there, but they had
talking about Coach Stevens up in East Mississippi.
No, well, that started it. Coach Stevens started it, but no, after they left Coach Stevens after 2 years, they went to the other school up north, and I don't know.
That's where the Coach Brown up in
Coach Brown,
who got canned, and now he's doing his own Twitter deal. But I forgot where it was. Somewhere in Kansas, I think.
It is, and I'm drawing and so my point is that when you watch that Last Chance, you can hear locals talking and about how many kids on that roster are from that area.
That's right.
If they have 50 or 60 kids, they might have 10 from that area because they're bringing in all these D1 players that couldn't make it at D1 for one reason or another, academically, getting in trouble. That's why they call it Last Chance U. And so that's why the state of Mississippi, which is good, because Hunter, if you had, I don't know if it would, if it would happen, but if you say, okay, Mississippi, you can get anybody you want from anywhere. How many coast players will be playing let's say Gulf Coast,
Yeah.
would they have, I'm going to get majority of players from out of state so I can win, and but so that's good that they have a limit on 15. So that's
Well,
why I have
and
it.
you remember, Matt, back in the day, before all this stuff started, there was about, and especially on the Mississippi Gulf Coast roster, there was about half of the kids from the coast, and the other half were from out of state. That a lot of times too, they ended up several times. I can remember two that they didn't even go to college; they just went straight to pro. I remember Doug Gabriel, who played for Perk, what I thought at least, he went straight to the NFL after that. But that was obviously different times, and with the transfer portal and all those other things happening, that's a certain way of things, and they put the cap on it. The legislature did, at least, and I
Yeah.
guess worked out something with the MACC. So
Yeah. So it'll be, now it's down to 4 teams in JUCO football, and again next Saturday at 3 o'clock. I don't know what time the other game is, but Colin and Northwest will go there, and then Gulf Coast will be at East Mississippi at 3 o'clock kickoff, and we'll have it on the radio at 2:30 at 103.1, and then on Bulldog Live.
Northwest is a pretty good team again this year. I know y'all.
Northwest, they're actually ranked 4th in the nation.
Okay.
You have to be in the top 4 to make the playoffs that they started in 2021. And normally, and that's just, they put Northwest there as they're holding the spot right now, because if Gulf Coast, who was 8th ranked, they still got teams they'll play this weekend that are out of the state of Mississippi, and see how they do. But usually or it has been since 2021 when they started this 14 playoff, the team who won the state of Mississippi championship has been in the Final Four of the playoffs. So again, Northwest was in it last year. They lost in the first round. East Mississippi, like 2 years ago or the year before, they went to the state championship. National championship, and ended up losing. So that's how I say it normally is. It's not an automatic bid just because you win the state championship in Mississippi, but they know the best teams are right here in the state of Mississippi, and they usually the state championship will get into that Final Four. So will it be Gulf Coast? They certainly have some great players there. Brandon Landon Barnes from Brandon. He's a quarterback there, second year there, and he's playing great.
Tell you what, he was really good at Brandon. I remember him when they shut out Gulfport a couple of years ago. Whew, that's tough.
So Tyler Henderson there from Vicksburg, but you got the running back Boogie Woods from Jacksonville, Florida. So you just have people that come over, but yeah, as it's passing midnight here on Halloween, as all the trick or treaters here tonight, again, scores that were or a shocker or not. Again, I lost 2 games, and that was at East Central Van Cleve. I lost that game, and I lost West Harrison at Biloxi. Again, I hope all the coast teams win. Was I leaning and pulling toward? I said West Harrison was going to win. I got it wrong. So it would have been, and they still, I guess, I don't know if they have a chance or not. I guess we'll find out. But with Coach Quincy Patrick, still the most wins. Most wins in the season for West Harrison, and just they had that lead until they didn't have the lead and went in overtime, and just a heartbreaking loss there for West Harrison, who was right there fixing to make the playoffs. And again, I don't think they can, just again on the point differential, but I'm going to let Brandon Shields post that, and I'll share that, what the scenarios need to be for certain teams. And he may come out and say West Harrison is out. They can't, unfortunately. We'll see. And again, they're off next week. West Harrison, the schedule next week. Just to go over it real quickly, we don't have playoff. We have playoff matchups, but I don't have them written down. But in Region 5, 4A, Wayne County at Northeast Jones, Van Cleve at Purvis, East Central at Stone, 6A Region 3, George County at Forest Hill, 6A Region 4, Hancock at Long Beach, Goshen at Pascagoula, PRC at Picayune, and then 7A Region 4, West Harrison. They're off, meaning their season is done. They played their all their region games. Biloxi at Daleville, we mentioned Biloxi wins. They should get the 3rd seed. Daleville will get the 4th seed. but that's a tough task to going into D'Iberville. Ocean Springs at St. Martin, and then Harrison Central at Gulfport. We had Coach Pennock on there. And one thing I was going to ask him, and you may know, who's the backup quarterback for Gulfport? Because we may see him coming up Friday.
His name is, I believe, is Miles McNair. He's been there. I think he's a sophomore. He came in against Biloxi, and he came in against St. Martin only for a couple series, but he hasn't. I think he threw maybe one pass. That was about it. So,
right,
but they also have a really good freshman. I can't remember his name, but he's a really good freshman. They have a really good freshman team this year too. So,
well, very good. And I only say that because again, they have wrapped up their number one seed, and I know Coach Pennock got cut off, but I'm sure he's going to eventually bring in an underclassman and not risk somebody getting hurt. But I'm sure they're going to start their players because they want to win. You don't want to lose.
I don't think,
even though it wouldn't affect it.
I don't think Harrison Central is going to cause much of a problem for them after the first half. So
unfortunately, up there for Harrison Central, they're struggling there. They're putting forth the effort, but again, they lose tonight, 35-0 at Ocean Springs. And then, like I say, that Biloxi at the D'Iberville game. That's Biloxi can win. Yes, it's going to be tough. I was kind of skeptical with my pick with Gulfport over D'Iberville because D'Iberville had that week off, so they had 2 weeks to prepare for Gulfport, and it's like, is Gulfport going to drop the shoe? The shoe going to drop because they've been winning, they haven't turned the ball over, but they started off strong, and from what I saw in the first half, I'm going to have to go watch the replay of the game.
They started off really strong, but a little bit later on, they just kind of let them keep hanging around, and that's what happens. You let them keep hanging around the fourth quarter. It's and that's not just D'Iberville. There's other teams just like that too that Gulfport's got to play. So
that onside kick away from making it real interesting, D'Iberville. And then of course the teams we don't want to forget on Thursday that played. And that was Poplarville did lose to Columbia. They're undefeated, Columbia. So Poplarville will now go play Forest County, which I don't see them having a problem with Forest County AHS. Pass Christian shuts out Bay High 48-0. Again, this was Thursday games. Forest County did defeat Greene County 21-14. That's why they'll get the host, but now they'll get the host Poplarville. And Moss Point was off. Moss Point will go now to Columbia next Friday, round 1 of the playoff. Coach Jenkins, we had him on last week. They're rested up. They'll be ready to go. Tigers, anything could happen in the playoffs, and that's certainly what I'm hoping for is the Tigers to somehow upset Columbia, who's perfect on the season. And then 3A Region 8, you had St. Stanislaus, unfortunately, with a loss there, 47-14 against West Marion to go finish the season 1-9, 0-4 in the district. And then again, St. Patrick in the Region 3, 3A Region 8. Was off, and again, Coach what's his name from St. Patrick, who you just said,
Nate Increpera.
Nate, yes, man, I'm getting old and getting late. And then Resurrection, their last game of the season was Thursday. They lost to Stringer 40-7. Again, I have it all on my Facebook page because I know this link goes out to X, YouTube, and Facebook, but Gulf Coast High School football on Facebook there. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Hunter, again, a couple of coaches on tonight. That was great to get Coach DuBose on there, Coach Pennock on here, and hopefully next Friday we can get a certain coach on that after wins a playoff game, because I don't want to mess him up, but he is highly favored, and they should. And that's my last week of picking is next week. Predictions, because I do pick the last regular season games, and then you'll have playoffs in there. And I may have my opinion on playoff wins, but I normally don't pick playoff games because I want the coast team to win, all coast teams to win. I want Moss Point to beat Columbia, but it's my last week picking. I'm not going to pick Moss Point to beat Columbia. I can tell you that right now. It's just, can they win? Yes. Anything can happen. Any given Friday night under the lights can happen there, Hunter. So
that's right.
But it's been exciting. Like I say, in a blink of an eye, we're already, last week is next week and playoff start for 1 through 4A. And it's great to be here, but I always try to take it in each and every week as it goes by. It does go by so quickly. The last day of, we're in November. Welcome November 1st.
That's right.
What you going this weekend? What I know you do your college. You going?
Well, yeah, I'm not going to make it up to college, but I am going to be covering at least the game in Fayetteville. I'll watch it on TV and get it for Super Talking. But then I'm also going to cover the first hockey game for the Gulf Coast. The Biloxi Breakers are playing their opening game. I believe it's their opening game. It's either tonight or it'll be tomorrow. But I'm going to go cover that for the Super Talk chain, and then we'll get the podcast for you guys on Sunday.
Okay. Well, that sounds like a plan. So, I mean, you hear that? I hear that the USM coach, maybe trying to get hired somewhere else already.
Well, and I think apparently USM still has 4 more games to go. They still have to win, and I think if they win all 4, or at least they win 3 out of the 4, I think there's a good chance that that he's going to have some options open. But I think more importantly, if I'm Coach Huff, and I've talked to the man, I know his kind of scenario. Somebody's got to offer him a lot of money for him to want to leave. I mean, because he and his wife and his family, they really enjoy where they're at. It's not only the fact that he's getting some money, it's the fact that he's getting a lot of resources. Jeremy McClain and Joe Paul made sure to give him a lot of NIL money to take care of these kids, to be able to pick up these recruits and all. Now, the transfer portal probably won't be the same as it was last year, because he's obviously left one team and brought in 70 kids. However, that also goes to show you the guy's a good enough, coach, and somebody that can, bring in kids from all over the place, that he'll have some good representative and things and such like that, being able to recruit. But I believe unless somebody like a Virginia Tech, which he's from Virginia, or if somebody, with a decent, push, with a decent amount of money that can promise to give him enough money to recruit players, that's really the only reason he's going to leave, if that happens. So.
Okay, we do have a question here about from Peasy. I guess this is we're gonna say his name. 6A predictions, and that's where, of course, Picayune is ranked number 1 according to Max Preps, and they're just strictly talking 6A statewide.
Yeah.
Picayune is there. Then you have some north teams, with Warren Central and Grenada and South Panola, Ridgeland.
I don't know if West Point is 6A yet, or did they move up to 6A? I thought they did. If they moved up to 6A, they're the team. They're always going to be number 1 until somebody beats them in the state championship.
Well, now I thought, now I'm looking at, he said 6A state predictions. I don't know. I thought he was talking about maybe just the coast, but yes, West Point is still the team to beat in overall 6A. But as far as the South, with Picayune right there, and Hattiesburg is from the other region, and West Jones, and Hattiesburg beat West Jones, if not mistaken.
That's right.
And they're 4-0. West Jones is now 3-1. So that's the top tier teams. And George County looks to get in, and I believe if they do get in, they'll probably go play at Picayune. They're the first round of the playoffs in 2 weeks. So as far as 6A predictions, we want a coast team to win. I do, and right now Picayune is leading the way. Again, they're 20. What I say it was 28th. They won their 5th straight region title. That's one behind Stone, and then they won
28th game in region game.
Region game. Yes, and 27th. I posted it out there. So they're on a roll. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Pascagoula, Coach Sims and it just had his 100th win, and they shut out Hancock. I mean, I didn't, high flying Hancock that was on a roll, and they're still going to look to make the playoffs. But a great win for Coach Sims on the road to get that number 2 seed, and they'll be a factor there. But again, on the region 3, 6A, you have a West Jones and Hattiesburg, and then you have George County that looks to be in there, and then Terry looks to be in there. So it's still got another week to go there, but I certainly appreciate the question. What about 7A as far as again the South Side? I say South Side Region 4 with Gulfport, Osha Springs are the top dogs. Even D'Iberville is right there. Now the team that gets in 4th, be it Biloxi, West Harrison, or St. Martin, they may have a harder time. They just want to get in, but they may have a harder time there. And then
and if you're talking about South 7A, I mean, it's definitely going to be coming between Petal and Gulfport. That's the way it was early on in the year, and I think that's going to be another potential matchup. So
yes, because we just went over earlier, and you can go back and watch our rerun of this, which I'll post it. But on the Region 3A side, you said Brandon with the win tonight, but Oak Grove you said did win tonight. So they
won
still got
last second field goal from what I heard. So
yeah, and there was 4 teams at 2-1.
Yes.
Is this the year that a 7-8 team from the coast makes it to not just South State, because we had Osha Springs make it to South State, but to get to the state championship game, and not just get there, that'd be great, but to win it, that's what we're hoping for. And for me, it don't matter to me which team. I don't favor any team.
And as far as from the north, from what I've heard and from one of the scores that I've seen, it's mainly Tupelo, who's undefeated, and Madison Central, who beat Starkville tonight. Those 2 teams are 2 of your top teams in 7A. Until somebody beats the champion, you got to go with Tupelo from a 7A North perspective. But from the South perspective, I like Gulfport and Petal's chances. So
yes, they are playing. Like I say, Gulfport's playing the best ball right now, especially like I say with the win tonight. And yeah, West Point is ranked number 1 in the state. Again, that's just according to Max Preps. On that part of it. So let me see.
Gulfport wins their 6th game in a row, and they are undefeated when they're on the road. So
yep, they show Max Preps before tonight. They strictly on computer rankings. They don't have humans involved. They have Tupelo number 1, Osha Springs 2, Oxford, Starkville, Gulfport 5th, Petal, Germantown, D'Iberville 8th, Oak Grove 9th, Brandon 10th, West Harrison was there at 14th, St. Martin at 17th, Biloxi at 20th. Again, they do the schedule. They do, and how they explain how they do theirs. They don't have live voters, and that is statewide 7A. They have Tupelo number 1, again, Osha Springs number 2 in that ranking. So again, hopefully there's been years, of course, we've gotten swept in 7A, and we don't want that this year, and we don't think we're going to have it this year. And the dream, the Christmas gift, which even though it will happen Thanksgiving, it's always the day after Thanksgiving is South State Championship games, is to have a Osha Springs at Gulfport, D'Iberville at Osha Springs, D'Iberville at Gulfport, something, like that. That would be, we've already had, again, the Hornet Bowl 1. I was there for that with Poplarville and East Central. The winner went to state championship. Both teams were undefeated in that game. In fact, they played the second game, Hornet Bowl 2. Last year or 2 years ago, we did have Gaucher at Picayune for this going to the state championship game. I didn't go to that game, but
Matt, I will tell you though, the day after Thanksgiving, that's definitely be a difficult thing for me because, of course, I've got the Egg Bowl in the morning in Starkville, which I got to go cover. And then, if we got a if we got a South State championship game, the day after Thanksgiving, I got to be down here. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be down here, and hopefully that's a Gulfport. Again, for
That's
me,
right.
it don't matter what team goes for me for coast-wide. We got 25 coast teams now with Christian Collegiate. It don't matter what coast team goes. I want a coast team, and we've had coast team goes. I know people say, "Oh, Poplarville's not a coast team. Picayune's not a coast team." Well, too bad, so sad. The Coast Media Group covers the 6 coastal counties. They
Right.
follow in the 6 coastal counties. You don't have to be able to see water to be considered a coast team. Do they charge those people up there for flood watch, for flood insurance, in Picayune? They're not by no ocean. I'm sure they charge. So, you have college teams that are in the Pacific Atlantic, whatever it is. So I know people say that every year, and that I kind of ignore it and just with it.
It's also funny that you got the Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College. Their campus is nowhere even close to water in Perkinston, but it's everybody's.
So that's the reason we're coast football, because the news media, WLOX, WXXV covers the 6 coastal counties. If they only cover the 3 coastal counties, then we wouldn't have Picayune, Poplarville, Stone, George County. We wouldn't cover them. Greene County wants us to cover them, wants us to rank them, and unfortunately they don't cover them. Even though I did see them ranked in one of the polls here on the coast, which is kind of odd because I don't see Greene County highlights on their broadcast. So they rank them. And nothing against Greene County, because I share their post on the Facebook page or game day post. Nothing against Greene County. It's just they're not in the 6 coastal counties, and that's just the way it's been. And if it changes, if WLOX, WXXV say, hey, we're going to cover just the 3 coastal counties, and we'll change it up and do it that way. But that's how I get my videos watching the plays. I haven't seen teams that are above that north. That's just the way, unfortunately, it is. So that's what Gulf Coast is made up of, is the 25 coastal teams, not necessarily on the coast. But we want a 7A team. Yes, Picayune has won back-to-back championships. Poplarville won last year. I was there on the sideline when Picayune won, Poplarville won. We want a 7A team, be it Gulfport, Biloxi, D'Iberville, Ocean Springs, West Harrison. If they happen to make it, I don't care. So we look to be there. All right, I'll stop rambling on, Hunter, and the fans, because we don't have too many weeks of this. But playoffs start next week. Tomorrow I should have the hot. Last week I gave the cold teams a break. I just had the hot teams because I didn't want to bring up this team losing 41 straight region games. I didn't want to do that. But I looked at the hot teams come out tomorrow, and the Tuesday top 10, which is going to be we have 2 more weeks. So we have Tuesday top 10, and then we'll have it for the following week. And then the Thursday game predictions, last ones, they'll come out at 6 o'clock because the games kick off at 7 o'clock next Thursday. So appreciate all the fans joining us. Of course, Hunter Dawkins Gazebo Gazette. You can look for him on X, on the Real Gazebo Gazette on Facebook. The HD Experience, the podcast, that's on fire. He just started at 7, I think, episodes in.
Actually, this will be the 10th.
Oh, geez.
The 10th. Yes, sir.
A wide variety.
That's how fast it's going by, man.
Yeah, a wide variety of topics that you do cover. College, of course, high school.
The Mississippi Gulf Coast Sports Podcast, because from what I've looked up, there's not anyone that covers all of the Mississippi Gulf Coast athletic sports, and I certainly do.
Correct. There were some podcasts in the past that I was on that are no longer that I'm aware of. So, hey, and podcast is a great information for people to listen to and to be able to fast forward through the commercials if you want to. But but happy Halloween, as it is November 1st. We certainly appreciate the fans. Any last words before we sign off, Hunter?
Happy All Saints Day now. So it's hopefully we'll get all the Gulf Coast football comes through with the All Saints Day beginning. So
Most definitely. In a matter of 9 hours, I'll be at Creek Bend Middle School. My grandson has his jamboree basketball game tomorrow. So if you see me out there, say hi to me.
That's right. Basketball season starts here pretty soon. So
it is, and it's starting for some teams that unfortunately are not making the playoffs, but they all give it their effort, and we certainly appreciate the fans joining us here tonight. And we will catch you next week. Thursday games are the 5 through 7A, and then the playoffs. Yes, we're talking playoffs next Friday. That's exciting, especially with the Pass Christian and the other games, Poplarville games and Moss Point, St. Patrick. We'll be looking forward to it. So, all right, from Matt Stats for Hunter Dawkins, and I'm Matt Stats. I appreciate everybody joining us tonight. Until next time, keep the lights on under the lights on Friday night.